You are about to enter Habs After Dark with Recliner Sports.
3, 2, 1, 0.
What is up, gang? Welcome to Habs After Dark. My name is Devin. This is Recliner Sports, and we are here to talk about the Montreal Canadiens and their 4-2 victory over the Vancouver Canucks. If you're not yet subscribed, please do so. If you enjoy the show, if you're enjoying the content, if you enjoy being here, we are on. It's very, very late. It's Habs way after dark tonight. It's Habs way after dark. It is 2 o'clock in the morning. We will be brief tonight. It's not going to be our regular hour and a half to 2 hour long show. We're going to move through things pretty quickly. If there's some conversation, maybe we'll stick around for a little bit, but otherwise we're going to keep things moving pretty quickly. I expect that most of you will likely, if you're watching at all, will be watching in a replay tomorrow. If you are, I certainly would ask that you subscribe, hit the notification button and the likes. Send us some likes if you do enjoy the content. Again, we're here trying to give you guys a place where you can talk about hockey and the Montreal Canadiens. We go live after every Canadiens game, almost every game. We're not going to go live tomorrow. We also will not be airing Habs Therapy Day tomorrow. We don't air the show on nights when the Canadiens play, and unfortunately, I'm also not going to be going live. The game tomorrow starts even later than the game tonight did. It doesn't start until 11:30 p.m. my time, so I'm not really keen on doing 3 a.m. to 3:30 a.m. 2 nights in a row. So I apologize for that, but it's the best I can do. I do have other things going on in my life, and I will be occupying myself with those things as opposed to the post-game show tomorrow night. I will be watching the show. I just won't be. I won't be doing the post-game show tonight. A bit of an interesting game. Rodney, welcome. Go Habs, go. Hudson is awesome. I agree. He's a very good defenseman, and he's getting better and better every game. He is going to be pretty special to watch for years to come, and hopefully he will continue to progress. And if he does, it's going to be something really special to watch. Tonight's game, pretty interesting game. The Canadiens jumped out early. They scored, they scored a goal in the first 2 minutes of the game. They followed up with another goal to make it 2-0. Of course, the first goal from Nick Suzuki, the second goal from Juraj Slafkovsky. They then made it 3-0 in the second period, and looked like they, despite the fact that they weren't really dominating the play, they were certainly dominating the scoreboard. And it looked like it might be, I don't want to say easy, but it looked like they might get a pretty straightforward victory against the... Hello, Luca. Looked like they might get a pretty straightforward victory against the Canucks. Unfortunately, the Canucks had other plans. A couple of, I don't know if I want to call them lucky goals, but certainly both kind of seeing eye shots from the point. One on the power play. Chris Lee was horrendous tonight. Again, the refereeing was absolutely disgraceful and terrible. But it is what it is. You're going to face that in the NHL these days. The referees don't really know what they're doing. But again, the Canucks do come back with 2 goals in the third period. And then the Canadiens managed to ice it with an empty net goal by Mike Matheson to make it 4-2. So let's rip right away into our scoreboard, guys. Here's the scoreboard for tonight. So as I said, you have a goal early on in the game from Nick Suzuki from Caulfield and Slafkovsky. Then Slafkovsky scores a goal unassisted. He intercepts a pass, goes in and takes a shot. It wasn't a very difficult shot, but it was difficult enough to beat Kevin Lankinen, who was in nets for the Vancouver Canucks tonight. Again, Cole Caulfield with his 32nd of the year in the second period, assisted by Juraj Slafkovsky and Nick Suzuki again. So that's 3 points for Slafkovsky, 2 for Caulfield and Suzuki, and it's 3-0. And then, of course, the comeback in the third period from the Canucks, and then the game winner from Mike Matheson, or not the game winner, but the empty net insurance goal from Mike Matheson to make it 4-2. I can't wait for Tuck to come back to the Rockets for the playoff run. Yeah, I think Tuck is a big part of that team. And Luke Tuck is a guy who is fun to watch for sure. And between him and Jack-Eye and Beck, I think it should be an interesting playoff run for the Laval Rocket. It should be, Reinbacher and it'll be interesting to see if any other guys come and join the team, whether, Oliver Kapanen comes over and joins the team for the end of the season, whether, maybe a guy like Sam Harris comes out from the NCAA and sees if he might, play a game or two there. Maybe Jacob Fowler comes out once his season's over. His season obviously will be over a little bit later than maybe most of the NCAA guys, but it should be interesting to see what kind of run the Laval Rocket can go on this year. Let's look at some of the other stats on the scoreboard, guys. Shots tonight were 31-27 in favor of the Canucks. The Canucks led the shots pretty much the entire game. In fact, there was a time where they were significantly ahead of the Canadiens. The Canadiens did manage to come back in the latter half of the game as far as the shots were concerned. Kind of an interesting way the game went. The more shots the Canadiens got, the less goals they scored. And conversely, for the Canucks, the fewer shots they took, the more goals they scored. Right? The Canucks had most of their shots in the first half of the game and didn't score any goals. And then they had very few shots in the third period and got both of their goals. I think they only had how many shots in the third period? Let's go check it out. Yeah, they only had 8 shots in the third period and they got 2 goals, whereas the Canadiens had 11 shots in the third period. So it was a bit of a strange way for the game to go. Quite frankly, again, the referees played a big role in tonight's game. I believe there were 4 power plays, 3 power plays for the Canucks and just 1 for the Canadiens. And again, the game was certainly, that was not the way the game went. It wasn't a game where the Canadiens were, being dominated and had to, clutch and grab in order to stay in the game. The Corsi tonight was 74-64, and the Fenwick was 55-42. High danger scoring chances were pretty much even at 17-16. And the Canucks were 409-309 leaders when it comes to expected goals. And if you go to 5-on-5, guys, so if you take away those penalties that Chris Lee decided the Canadiens had to have in the third period, then all of a sudden, you're looking at the Canadiens, the Canucks only lead 61-60 on Corsi. They lead 45-38 on Fenwick. They only lead 25-24 on shots. And the scoring chances are 25-21 in favor of the Canucks. And the high danger chances actually favor the Canadiens at even strength. And the expected goals are 3.2 to 2.6. So there's a big difference when if you take away those penalty calls that the referees decided to call at the end of the game. Again, guys, I think we're going to move through things really quickly here. I see there's only one person watching. Again, I apologize if that's you, but we are going to move through things pretty quickly, and we're not going to spend a whole lot of time here, guys. I'm not really going to. I'm really not going to spend a ton of time going through everything here. Do you think the Habs have a chance to get Crosby next year? It would be great to put him with Demidov. I don't know whether they have a chance, Rodney, but I think it would be an absolutely terrible move. I don't think they will make that move. I think that Kent Hughes would be smart enough not to make that move. I don't see any reason why the Canadiens would want Sidney Crosby on this team. I get it. He's a good hockey player. He might still have a little bit left in him, but the Canadiens are in a rebuild, and bringing in a 38-year-old player at $9 million or $8.7 million is not really in the cards for this team. So I don't agree with your assessment that it would be great to combine Crosby and Demidov. Quite frankly, obviously Crosby has certain things that he brings. I think the main thing he would bring if he did come to the Canadiens, which he almost certainly will not, would be his leadership and his experience. But again, I don't see the Canadiens having any interest whatsoever in Sidney Crosby. I just don't. I don't see it. I don't. Again, I don't understand the allure. I mean, obviously, I get the allure, I guess, to an extent, having a great player like that play for your team at some point. But again, I don't think it's a very good fit with a rebuilding team to bring in a 38-year-old player. I don't think that would. It just wouldn't make sense to me. So we'll get to our A team, guys. Tonight's A team is pretty predictable, I think. You've got Slafkovsky, you've got Struble, and you've got Suzuki, and you've got Caulfield. So again, the first line was obviously, as it has been for the last several games, the best, the most effective. They were the most effective players on the ice, probably for either team. Frankly, I thought they played well again. They have, again for since the return from the Four Nations face-off, they've been the dominant force for the Montreal Canadiens. They've played really well. All three of them, Suzuki, Caulfield, Slafkovsky, I think have all played well since the break. Interestingly enough, everybody's very concerned about Slafkovsky and his physical play. And I spelt his name Slakkovsky. I see that there now. Everybody's concerned about him playing more physical game. Tonight was the first time since the break that he didn't lead the team in hits. But yet, he had a goal and 2 assists, and everybody thinks he's the greatest thing in the world. So, again, I don't know that people are very good at assessing certain aspects of play in hockey. I don't think some people just don't get it, quite frankly. I don't think they understand the game as well as they think they do. And I think Slafkovsky has played very good hockey since the break, including tonight. I think the physical side of his game is important, but again, I don't think it's the most important thing. For him, it's mostly whether or not he's involved in the game and whether he's engaged. And he has been for all 8 games since the break, including the 2 before tonight, when certain people think that he has struggled when he hasn't. Quite frankly, obviously he hasn't shown up on the scoreboard, and things haven't gone as well for him in the last 2 games as they have in some of the other games. But again, he's playing very good hockey right now, and this is the kind of hockey we want to see from Juraj Slafkovsky. And there's always going to be people out there that are naysayers and are looking to have a whipping boy and a guy who they have a preconceived notions and preconceived concerns about. And but I just don't see that with Juraj Slafkovsky. He has struggled at times this year. There's absolutely no doubt about it. He's a young player. He's got a lot to work on, and but he continues to be better. He's been better of late, and he certainly has been one of the Canadiens' best players since the end of the Four Nations break. Of course, Nick Suzuki, same thing, 2 points tonight. He's kind of the guy he's the captain. He's the leader. He's the guy who, tonight they were very focused on offense, right? If you were reading some of the media stuff going around, at practice the other day, Marty St. Louis was putting a lot of emphasis on scoring goals. And, Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slafkovsky went out and did that. Slafkovsky against Shane Wright tomorrow. It is, yes, tomorrow night. Should be interesting. Yeah, should be interesting to see. Suzuki again is the leader. He's the guy who, sets the tone, sets the tempo for this team. And, again, he's been doing that since the break. And, he's been doing it all year, really. But, that line, again, he's the leader of that line. He's the guy who, carries that line. And when they're all three firing on all cylinders, they're a pretty impressive group, and they're pretty fun to watch, and probably not that much fun to play against. Caulfield tonight with a goal, multiple shots, and scoring chances. He's just, he's a sniper, right? 32nd goal of the year. Looks like he is he's definitely on pace to get to that 40 mark. I think he's got 5 goals in he's got goals in 5 of his last 6 games. it's interesting. I think you're going to see a big game from him soon. I think you're going to see a big goal game. I think you're going to see, a multiple goal game from him because he's had so many games this year where he's had a ton of chances and just hasn't been able to, to score all those goals. Like there's been games where he's had 5, 6, scoring chances. Like tonight he had, let's see, individual scoring chances so 5 individual scoring chances tonight, 4 individual high danger chances for Cole Caulfield. So I think, we've seen multiple games like that where he's had multiple shots, 6, 7, 8 shots on goal, even some games. And eventually I think one of those games he's just going to explode and get a bunch of goals. And it's going to be fun to watch. So I'm looking forward to that. And the fourth and final member of the A team tonight is Jayden Struble. Jayden Struble just continues to be a bit of a revelation, I think, for the Canadiens on the back end. Tonight he had an 87.24 expected goals for percentage. He was on the ice for 10 scoring chances for and only 2 scoring chances against. He was on the ice for 7 high danger chances for and 0 high danger chances against. Those are impressive numbers, right? He was on the ice for 13 shots for the Montreal Canadiens and only 5 shots against. So, these are impressive numbers from anybody, let alone a guy who, 2 months ago couldn't get into the lineup, right? This was a guy who, was in the press box on most nights, in January, and here we are, the first week of March or the second week of March, and he's, putting up numbers like that. Tonight he was on the ice for 17 minutes and 22 seconds, right? Him and Lane Hudson, a very good matchup, good pairing, and they've played very good hockey of late, and they certainly did that tonight. Lane Hudson again deserves an honorable mention. He was very good tonight too. He was on the ice for 13 scoring chances for and only 5 against. He was on the ice for 9 high danger chances for and only 2 against. His expected goals percentage was 73, almost 74%. So this is by the way in a game where the Canadiens were outshot, outchanced. So again, those numbers are all the more impressive, right? Because overall, Vancouver had more scoring chances, they had more high danger chances, they had more Corsi, they had more Fenwick, all those things. But yet, for whatever reason, Lane Hudson and Jayden Struble were able to be pretty dominant. And when you have a pair of defensemen like that, it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice to have that, quite honestly. And I think it's going to be a bit of it's going to be an interesting decision the team will have to make when Caden Gooley comes back and when he's ready to go, right? And I think what it does also is it allows them to not take their time, but make sure that Caden Gooley is fully recovered before he comes back, because there's no real rush to bring him back. Because I think all 6 of the defensemen who are playing right now are doing their job very well. They're doing their job very well, and so with Caden Gooley coming back, you're either taking Struble or Savard out of the lineup. I think is probably the most likely scenario. Savard, unfortunately, however you want to look at it, he's right-handed, so he's harder to take out of the lineup. We've seen how much better Caden Gooley plays when he's able to play on the on the left side. If you take Savard out of the lineup and put Gooley in his place, he most likely will have to play on his offside, or somebody else will have to move over to their offside. So should be an interesting thing when Gooley comes back to see what they do with that. So that's the A team for tonight, guys. Slavkovsky, Struble, Suzuki, and Caulfield. I had Samuel Montembeault kind of penciled into that 4th spot, after 2 periods, but unfortunately, he let in those 2 goals. I don't want to say they were soft goals, but they were kind of, they were kind of weird goals from the point. So, What's up, Entertap? How are you, man? Good to see you. 2 big points tonight, absolutely. Again, not a Picasso tonight, I don't think, but right, they don't ask you how, they ask you how many. I thought that um, it was a bit of an up and down game. It was a bit of an inconsistent performance. I thought that they finished a little bit slow, but again, I don't think the referees were much help. But yeah, big 2 points. That's all that matters. They get another chance to finish this road trip on a high note. That's all good. Entertap coach is probably still online, is he? Coach is probably still going over there, so I think everybody's probably still over listening to him. That's okay. There's not much turnout here tonight, and I was going to keep it pretty short anyway. It's already coming up on 2:30 in the morning for me. The Habs next year will be really hard to beat. The GM is building a dynasty, not just a one-cup wonder. Yeah, I mean that's the goal. I think, Rodney. Right? I think the goal is to build a sustainable team, a team that can last, a team that will be good for a significant period. And I think some of the philosophies that Kent Hughes brings to the job of general manager will extend beyond a rebuild. Right? Some of the focus on drafting, the focus on scouting, the focus on development, the focus on culture, and building a team that or creating a place where or an environment where players want to come and play. I think these are all things that will extend beyond just the period of this rebuild. So it is what it is. Should be interesting. I'm very happy with the progress of the rebuild, and I'm very happy with the approach that is being taken to the rebuild. Beyond just the roster building aspects, which I think are great, but I think there's other aspects that are important as well. So, but you're right. I think there's been a real change in philosophy and a real change in attitude within the organization, within management, within the organization as a whole, away from some of the old school, more traditional approaches to running a hockey franchise that kind of held the Canadiens back, in my opinion, over the last number of years, like the last 25 years. So, what is that noise? Yeah, it should be interesting. I agree with you completely, Rodney. Slav, Suzuki, Caulfield, and Gallagher. Honorable mention, Anderson. Okay. I had Jaden Struble in there. Again, I don't know if you were. Again, you're not. I know you're not totally into the advanced stats, but you'll appreciate that Jaden Struble tonight was on the ice for 7 high danger chances in favor of the Canadiens and 0 high danger chances against. That's pretty good defense. Expected goals percentage tonight, 87.24 for Jaden Struble. Again, that's a pretty impressive number, especially when you consider the fact that the Canadiens were outchanced. They were out expected gold. All of these things, they were not in their favor tonight. And tonight, it's pretty good performance, especially from a guy who couldn't even get in the lineup a month and a half ago, right? Like played 17 minutes and 22 seconds tonight. I thought he played really well, and I think he's been playing really well. I think he's been a really, really good player for the Canadiens of late. And that pairing of Hudson and Struble has been. I mean, tonight it was their best pairing. They were the best defensive pairing on the ice for the Canadiens, like by a significant margin, like a very significant margin. Like by comparison, Mike Matheson tonight played 10 minutes more, but he was on the ice for. And again, he's playing a harder matchup. I get that, but I took Galley just on pure guts out there tonight. Always took it to the net. Yeah. I thought he had a good game as well. Yeah. I thought Anderson played a pretty decent game as well. I think everybody, all the forwards were kind of overshadowed a little bit tonight by the first line. I thought Jake Evans had a decent game. I thought he played quite well, especially on the penalty kill. I thought the penalty kill was pretty important tonight. Obviously, they allowed that goal from Pettersson, which was a bit of a fluke, but that's going to happen. So, but that's Galley every night, right? I think Galley had a pretty special game. But that first line, I think, has been firing on all cylinders since the return from the Four Nations face-off. I think all three of those guys have played, their best hockey of the year, perhaps. In the last 8 games, and I think they've been really, really impressive from top to bottom. Right, there's all three of them I think have been pretty good. So that's what you need from them. That's what you want from your first line. That's what you want from your leaders like Suzuki. Evans was on the ice a lot at the end of the game. He's an important player, and I think that the fact that they were able to re-sign him for the amount that they did, I think is going to turn out to be a pretty positive thing. Because I know a lot of people have made a big deal out of the offense that he's produced this year as a fourth liner, but at the end of the day, what's really going to the contribution that Jake Evans is going to make to your team at the end of the day is going to be his ability, to kill penalties, to be on the ice, like you say, in those last minutes of a close game. And that's his bread and butter. And if he can throw in 10 or 12 goals, that's pretty good too. Yeah, Chris Lee is a terrible, terrible, terrible referee. No clue what he's doing. Jake Evans should have had a penalty called on him behind the net. They didn't call that. And then they called They called the penalty on, who was it that got who got that penalty? The David Savard penalty. The Canadiens cleared the puck out of their own end. 3 guys touched the puck, and Chris Lee never blew his whistle. And then all of a sudden, it's almost like he decided not to call the penalty, and then he changed his mind and he did call it, and it wasn't really a penalty. It's just this terrible, terrible, terrible reffing. But most nights it is pretty bad. I don't know. I don't know what to say about the refereeing in the NHL. I don't know. I don't get that nobody else notices that how bad it is. But Cole Caulfield in front of the net twice, cross-checked by Marcus Pettersson. Ooh, swallowed the wrong way. Two blatant cross-checks in the back to Cole Caulfield by Marcus Pettersson in front of the net, 5 feet away from Chris Lee, and he just decides not to call it. Right? It's just terrible, terrible refereeing. They don't know what they're doing. Every aspect of the officiating in the NHL is bad. The rule book is bad. The officials are bad. The supplementary discipline and that department is bad. It's all bad. Nobody knows what they're doing. So, anyways, guys, I said I wasn't going to keep it long. I'm going to end it there. It's 2:30 in the morning. That's it for tonight. There will be no Habs Therapy Day tomorrow as it's a game day. There also, unfortunately, is not going to be a show after the game. The game tonight started at 11 for me. The game tomorrow night starts at 11:30. I will almost certainly watch it, but I will not do a show afterwards. So yeah, I just can't do 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 nights in a row, and it's just too much. So I hope you guys can understand that, and I hope you guys will be there on Saturday. I believe they play at home on Saturday against the Panthers, which should be a fun game. And tomorrow will be an opportunity for the Canadiens to close out this road trip on a winning note. They now have 3 of a possible 6 points, and tomorrow will give them an opportunity to make it 5 out of 8, which would be a decent road trip, I think. I would say. I mean, I don't know. Again, I'm not that worried about making the playoffs, to be quite honest with you. I just think they continue to play good hockey, and that's what I'm looking forward to. So that's it for tonight, guys. I do appreciate it. If you're not subscribed yet, please do so. Again, YouTube tells me that the only about 35 to 40% of the people who watch the show are actually subscribed, so I certainly invite you to do that. Hit the thumbs up button if you're watching live, if you're watching in a replay. That would be awesome. That would be great. The worst rule in the NHL is the instigator rule. I disagree, Rodney. I think the instigator rule is actually a good rule. It's just that it's not applied correctly. The referees don't know how to call it, and they don't call it consistently. I think the rule itself is a decent one in what it's trying to accomplish and what it's trying to achieve. But unfortunately, the league hasn't really told the referees, what it means, or the referees, apply it very, very inconsistently and arbitrarily. So, anyways, that's it, guys. I hope you all have a great night. I do appreciate those for stopping by. Thank you, Rodney. Thank you, Entertap. Again, there weren't very many who popped in tonight. There were even fewer. Luca came by and said hello. I appreciate that, Luca. If you're over there on TikTok, I appreciate you as well. But that's going to be it for tonight, guys. Thank you so much again. Subscribe, hit the like, thumbs up button, guys. Give us all those thumbs up. Again, I do appreciate that it's late at night, but hopefully if you're watching in a replay, you'll subscribe and hit the thumbs up. Merci beaucoup tout le monde. À la prochaine. There's no Habs therapy tomorrow night. There's no Habs After Dark tomorrow night, just because the game is on so late. Anyways, have a great night, and we will see you in the next one. Peace out.
To Hoffman, Monahan parked in front, docks to Caulfield, fires, scores!
You are about to enter Habs After Dark with Recliner Sports.